In this video, we're going to customize shapes using our Pathfinder, and that is right here. If you don't see Pathfinder down there, like anything that we do, I'm going to drag this off the screen. You can always go to Window up at the top, scroll down until you find Pathfinder. So I can click on that, and I'm going to drag this out so we can kind of see it a little bit better. Alright, so Pathfinder is a really versatile tool in creating custom shapes. So say that I want to, well, let me just make a few boxes here. So I'm going to make a box. So I'm using my rectangle tool, so M on your keyboard. And if you want to make a perfect square, you would just hold Option, and I like to hold Shift and drag out. So hold Option and Shift while you're dragging, and then let go of your mouse before you let go of Option and Shift. Once you get one, you can kind of duplicate it over by holding Option and clicking and dragging. Alright, so let's just kind of demonstrate. Let's go through these and kind of see what they do. So I'm going to overlay these two shapes, and I'm going to select them both. So I'm going to click and drag around both of them, and then I'm going to come up here to Unite, and I'm going to click Unite, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, so Unite, if you have a shape on top of another shape, it will actually turn it into one shape. It combines them, or unites them, as the name suggests. So that's what Unite does. Alright, so let's push this over to the edge, and I'm going to duplicate this box. And then, okay, so this one is minus front. So let me change the color of this to red. And I'm going to put it on top of this black one. Alright, so when I select these two, so I just click and drag around to select both of these. You can come over here to minus front, and anything that's in the front is going to be cut out of the thing in the back. So let's go ahead and click that. So now I'm left with the shape that was in the back. It took out, so you can kind of see where the other shape was. So anywhere where it overlaps, it's going to cut out the shape that it's on top of. So that's minus front. So let's do intersect. And let's try a different shape here. So let's use a circle. Let's go to hit M on your keyboard to select your rectangle tool. Go ahead and click and hold your rectangle tool and scroll down to ellipse. Alright, so now we're going to make a circle. So hold Option and Shift and click and drag out. Okay, and then hit V on your keyboard for your selection tool. That's this one right here. And we're going to hold Option, we're going to click and drag. Okay, so we're going to put these two on top of each other, and then we're going to click intersect. So let's go ahead and select both of them by clicking and dragging a box around them. And then we're going to click on intersect. And it gives us the shape that was in between the two shapes. So if you go back and look, you can see this shape right here. So this is a neat way to make quick custom shapes. So if you like this shape right here but don't know how to get to that very quickly, just put two circles on top of each other, select them both, and then click on intersect, and then you can get these cool shapes here. So you could make a flower. There's a bunch of different cool stuff you could do with this. Okay. So we've got that. Like I said, there's a bunch of different things you could do with that. It's really up to what you can think of. So let's go ahead and look at exclude. So I'm going to go back and get those circles again. Okay, so exclude is going to get rid of this spot in the middle. So when I select both of those and click on exclude, it's going to cut out that shape in the middle. So it's going to exclude where they overlap. And it turns what I didn't mention before is that it turns this into one object. Okay, so it actually groups them together. If you wanted to move these two shapes apart, you would just right click and ungroup. And unless they're connected right here, which I don't think they are, yeah, you can separate them out. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on divide. So I'm going to duplicate this box and I'm going to overlay these. I'm going to select them all. Okay, so what divide does is that it takes your shapes and anywhere where they overlap, where they intersect, it's going to make it a cut line. Okay, so it's going to cut it here, it's going to cut it here. Anywhere where they overlap, it's going to cut that shape. And I'll show you what I mean. It basically slices it up. So I'm going to select those. I'm going to click on divide. And at first it looks like it didn't do anything, but if you hover over it, you can see that all these pieces are separate now. So to get to those pieces, we can either double, since this is a group now, so what divide does is it groups it together after it's done. We can double click on it to get it in isolation mode, and then we can pull these apart, or I can go back, Command Z, and I can right click on this shape, so select it, right click, ungroup. So now I've got all of these pieces that are cut off from that main shape. Okay, so that is divide. Trim. So let's go ahead and click on trim here, duplicate that box. Okay, so I'm going to select these two and I'm going to click trim. So what that does is that the thing that's in front trims the back, essentially. So instead of this being a full square now, which it's cut, it trimmed this part away from that. So like divide, this groups it together at first, so you can right click, ungroup, and then you can move it apart. Okay. Merge. That's a lot like unite. And honestly, I don't know the difference between merge and unite. And I apologize, but I usually use unite and I don't use merge. So I haven't really used merge enough to really know when I'm sure there's a good reason to use that, but for what I do, unite has been a good tool to use. Okay, and then you guys can minus back, that's the same as minus front, it's just you subtract the back, and then you guys can mess around with these on your own. So yeah, so that is Pathfinder. If you don't find Pathfinder on your right hand panels, you can always go to Window, Pathfinder, and this is a great way to customize shapes instead of having to pull them illegally offline or online. And it's a way to take ownership of your work and to create stuff on your own.